What's going on, everybody? FJC here, back with another BattleBit video. The most recent devcast for BattleBit Remastered was yesterday, and there were a lot of changes posted in the upcoming update section of the Discord, so I thought I'd go over them in this video. I have to say, I do appreciate all the work the devs are putting into the game, and I hope some of these changes and updates bring a little bit of the player base back to the game. First, I want to talk to you guys about some pistol changes that they did. Recently, the devs released a whole overhaul for the pistols, but it was clear, including myself, that the community did not agree with the changes that they made, so I'm happy they reverted some of the changes, and these are the new stats for the guns. We start out with the Unica's damage being reverted back to 60 and the running speed being reverted back to 1.1. The Deagle's damage was reduced from 90 to 69, but they decided to increase it from 69 to 72, as well with the velocity increase from 400 to 500, the running speed increased from 1 to 1.06, and they increased the magazine size by 1. And lastly, we talk about the RSH-12, which originally had a damage increase from 60 to 72, but is now being lowered from 72 to 70. And the running speed was increased on this weapon as well from 1 to 1.06. I know a lot of people, including myself, were a little worried about the Desert Eagle change. I'm happy that they increased the damage, but I don't really want to give an opinion on any of these weapons until I use them and see how they feel in game. Next, we move on to some pretty important changes in my opinion. They've done some changes to the SMGs and PDWs. Most of the changes are relatively the same, except for the UMP-45, which got a buff, which we'll get into in a little bit. So as you can see on this long list of changes here, most of the changes are actually the same. The P90, the MP5, and the PP2000 now have a damage fall off start from 20 meters rather than 50 meters. With the MP7 and PP19 having a little more range, with the damage fall off start being reduced from 50 to 40. And the damage fall off end has been reduced on literally every single weapon. They've all been reduced to 140 except for the Chris Vector and the PP19, which are at 150 now. Now we're going to talk about the UMP-45 buff. They recently buffed the weapon but decided to do it again, and we start out with a damage increase from 28 to 35, which is huge in my opinion, a vertical recoil increase from 1 to 1.3, a horizontal recoil increase from 0.65 to 0.9, fire rate reduced from 700 to 650, and the damage fall off start was reduced from 50 to 20, and the damage fall off end was reduced from 200 to 140. So it's very clear the devs weren't happy with the SMG range and wanted to reduce them as a whole. I'm curious to see how this plays out in game. I really don't use the SMGs past 120 meters, but I'm sure once the update rolls out and I use the weapons in game, I'll be able to notice a little bit of a difference. Next, we move on to the support class, which had a little bit of changes done to it as well. I'm going to start out by talking about the weapon changes done to the support class. The first gun that I'm going to talk to you guys about is the L86, which damage was reduced from 32 to 31. The vertical recoil was reduced from 1.4 to 1.2. The horizontal recoil was reduced from 1.4 to 1. The velocity was increased from 600 to 650. And the reload speed was increased from 1 to 1.05. And the other weapon change was the M249 had a reduction in ADS time from 0.35 to 0.3. And the running speed was increased from 0.9 to 0.925. Another big change to the support class, which in my opinion should have been in the game day one, is you now have the ability to resupply your teammates with ammo, and it works the same way as the medic box. When somebody has an icon over them that shows bullets, that means they can be resupplied with ammo, and you simply just walk up to them and hold right click. Those are the main changes that we heard from the devs. There are a couple of small bug fixes and changes, but I'm going to go over the ones that I think are the most important. We start out with the bandage increase on every single class. Assault will now have 6 bandages instead of 4. Support will also have 6 bandages instead of 4, as will the engineer. And the recon will have 5 bandages instead of 3. They've finally added a dark flashbang option to the gameplay settings. I've practically wanted this since the first time I got flashbang. For some reason in BattleBit, the white is super bright, and even when I've gotten full blinded in CSGO, I don't have to close my eyes, but in BattleBit, I find the flashes to be super bright, so I'm glad that they added this to the gameplay section. Engineers now will be able to repair 98% of the damage instead of 50 to 75%. The issue when you were trying to spawn on your squad mates but you were unable to deploy because it said they were still in combat has been fixed. Oki had mentioned that it was on a timer of 6 seconds in the devcast, but they had reduced that. And lastly, The camo and helmets that you unlock once you reach level 200 will now be carried over as well. So to anyone who was annoyed about prestiging and not having the level 200 camo or a hood on their character, won't have to worry about that anymore. Anyway guys, that's everything from me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Personally, I agree with the majority of these updates, but I still do believe that if BattleBit wants to return to what it once was at, the game needs more content in it. Until then guys, I'm going to try to bring you the best BattleBit content that I can create, as well as when X-Defiant drops, you best believe that I'm going to be uploading that game non-stop, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for all the support on my YouTube and Twitch, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, much love.